Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of For the Par Mind Body Golf. As always, I'm Alex, and yeah, it's been a little while. I think we're probably a month and a half since I've been on the channel and done a video, which is all on me. But I want to talk about why that's been. I'm also going to talk about Hyrox London, what happened during the race, what is next, and just generally, a little bit of an update for the channel. So let's dive straight into it. So let's start with where I've been. I've been basically just taking some time for me. It's been a bit of an interesting month and a half. We've had some personal stuff going on with family life and just things going on that basically needed me to draw attention to that and take a step back from doing this. And it's a bit ironic really, I guess, because I'm using this as a form of outlet for myself, and I've removed that outlet through this process, which I don't think worked quite in the same way that I was hoping it to. I would think this is still a better option for me, which is why I'm back and doing the videos. But at the time it just felt like the right thing to do. This started pre-Hyrox, so I think somewhere around, I want to say the second week in November, somewhere around there, I was doing a full sim as part of my training program, full simulation of Hyrox, so doing all the race distances, all the race weights, and making sure that my body felt comfortable in doing so. Whilst I was doing the training, I felt quite a sharp pain in my outer knee, and at the time I didn't think too much of it, and I got about, 2/3 of the way through my session, and in hindsight 2020, looking back now, made a really bad call to just carry on and basically fight through the pain. It turns out that what I've done is I've caused a strain on my IT band, and it was, I don't think at the time I realised quite how much pain I was in, but looking back now, initially once I'd finished my session I was fine, but then fast forward 4 to 8 hours and just walking down the stairs, every time my knee went into sort of a fully outstretched motion, the pain was quite excruciating in my knee. So it basically took me out of training for about a week. With that, obviously I could do some upper stuff, but it was very limited. So that started a bit of a snowball for me, both physically and mentally, because obviously I'd had a plan that me and my coach had been building and working towards for race day, which included a series of trainings leading up to the race, including like a deload week, etc., which basically ended up turning into like almost a deload month, just because of the situation I was in. I'd started working very, very closely with a physio at my gym at Mehab. Shout out to Hardia. She did some awesome work with me, making sure that not just my knee but my legs were as ready as they could be for Hyrox. We worked really hard to make sure I was in as good a shape as possible, given that the last month of training wasn't quite where we needed it to be. So we got to race day, which was the 21st of November in London at the XL Arena, or XL Centre, should I say. And I started the day and my knee felt okay. It didn't feel perfect by any stretch, but there wasn't any like residual pain or anything like that. I hadn't had any pain really for a good week or so at this point. I had it taped up again by Hardia at Mehab to make sure that it was as supported as it possibly could be. But so got to the XL a few hours early, got to watch some of the heats of Hyrox. So I want to talk about that a little bit and talk about the event. The event, if you have never been to a fitness event before, which I hadn't at this time, it was absolutely epic. Just the atmosphere, the people there, the camaraderie as well. It all came together so well, and I think the way that Hyrox have the spectator, I guess, format laid out just works extremely well for what it is. You know, it allows people such as myself, potentially, you know, other athletes, or even those that are just coming there to spectate and support, can be right in the middle of it. You know, you're inside the running track and you can go from station to station, watching whoever it is that you're supporting on that day. Or if you're just watching randoms, you know, you can follow particular randoms through the different sections. And then talking of the sections, when you get to the last one, the wall ball section, my word, what an experience. It's almost like a little mini arena or coliseum. Now, granted, it's not circular. It's two very large 3-tiered stands either side of the wall ball section. And you've got a DJ playing, you've got obviously all the spectators chanting their people on. It is just, if that doesn't get you amped to do that last 100 wall balls to finish off a Hyrox, I don't know whatever will. It was absolutely epic. And then obviously you've got the MC as well, who's hyping people up, calling out particular athletes to call out how they're getting on, things like that. It was, yeah, absolutely unbelievable. So leading into my race, I had a decent amount of carbs the night before and the morning of. One thing I will call out is, and please, this is like anyone who's thinking about doing any sort of fitness event, whether it's Hyrox or DECA or, you know, whatever it happens to be, bear this in mind when you're training leading up to an event like this. There is no guarantee that your time slot is going to be in line with when you normally train. So try and vary that up a bit. I found that particularly tough, and I know there are other people out there who just say it makes no difference, but for me it did. I'm normally a morning gym goer, so you know, most of my sessions are first thing in the morning, and to then have to run a race at my time slot, which was 7:20 at night, it was a real cognitive exercise just to wrap my head around that. So yeah, try and vary up your training when it comes to the timings. I think it will pay dividends for race day. But yeah, we got to about, I don't know, 20 minutes before our heat was due to go out, probably half an hour actually. And we went into what they call like the athletes warm-up area. So, you know, they've got rowers, bikes, they've got some sleds that you can put as much or as little weight on as you want, a little bit of area to do broad jumps, lunges, etc. Just get the body warm and ready to go. So I'd taken my resistance bands and my foam roller and things like that with me. So I did a bit of that, did some of the exercises that Hardy had given to me to do to warm the legs up. Did a bit of rowing, a bit of cycling and a bit of running, and everything felt okay. There was no major concerns at this point. And yeah, so 10 minutes before time, you're told, okay, you need to go into the gate. So you check in and you are in the starting pen. Again, kind of like the, let's call it the Coliseum of the wall balls. The starting pen does you no favors if you're trying to keep your resting heart rate down. It is such a adrenaline pump up area of the course. They've got some epic motivational music playing, some videos playing. It is just, yeah, it's an experience to behold, it really is. And I was doing Hyrox with a friend of mine, so you know, we were just bouncing off each other as well, so it just elevated it further and further. I think by the time we had started, we had actually had the countdown, the 5-second countdown to start our race. I think my resting heart rate was something like 105 or 110, something like that, when, you know, normally my resting heart rate is in the 40s and 50s. It was, yeah, it proper amped me up. So we get into the race, and for Hyrox London at the Excel, the first lap was a shorter lap, so it was only, I think, 800 meters. And, you know, I flew round. You know, in combination with the adrenaline that was pumping through the system, the fact that it was my first Hyrox, etc. Yeah, absolutely flew round and didn't really pay dividends because it just meant I was blowing before I'd even started ski erg. Did absolutely fine on ski. Started lap 2 of my race, which, you know, you were back to a normal 1K loop then. And yeah, things felt fine. I was definitely more cardiovascularly tired than I would normally be when I did my sim, for example, and I was a lot more cognizant of my timings and making sure that I didn't, you know, get myself into like zone 5 red territory. But again, just because of the excitement, the magnitude of the event, it's very hard to have that element of self-control. So finished the second lap and we're on to sled push. I'll be honest, I don't think it was any harder than when I'm in my gym and doing the exact same weights. I think, again, maybe the emotion and the pump that you've got in there maybe makes it a little bit more strenuous, because you're breathing a lot harder than you maybe would do if you were just training. But yeah, the sled push was fine, no major issue. So just a reminder, that's 4 12.5 meter reps. And yeah, so came away from the sled push very happy with that. Straight back out onto run 3. Now this is where things start to go a little bit pear-shaped. So halfway through run 3, I instantly felt my knee, and it wasn't like it, it slowly built up to it. It just went instantly, and I could feel it straight away. I was like, oh no, and I tried to ignore it and finished my 1K to then start the sled pull. Sled pull was actually harder than I was expecting, and I have no reason why. Maybe the knee, the mental side of that was starting to play as well, but it certainly felt heavier than it does when I'm doing them at the gym. Normally I can do the sled pull with just a hand over and under movement. On this occasion I was literally having to do hold on and steps back to get the four lengths done. But we got them done, and we moved on, and we went on to the 4th run, and this is where things really went downhill. I literally left the sled pull, started jogging, and my knee was in utter agony. And I did a lap, so 500 meters or so, got into, or just about to enter the start of the rock zone, and I just decided, do you know what? It's not worth it. I had worked all year, with this event in mind, and I had to leverage the mental stability and the mental strength to just tell myself that it's just not the time right now. So I DNF'd myself. So I spoke to one of the judges, and I walked out into the spectator pool. And yeah, my wife and my coach were there, and I broke down. Like, I had a bit of a cry. It was tough. Like I say, I'd worked all year for this event, and to have it come sort of crashing down like that was not part of the plan. But these things happen, and like I say, I was there with my friend who was also running the race. So I got myself together as quickly as I could. I had a quick walk it off. Just had a quick stroll by myself for a minute, and then I was right back cheering my mate on, who did a fantastic job at the race. And it was tough. So I think there's a couple of things to be I guess deconstructed there. So let's dive into that. So the first thing I think I want to voice to all of you out there, if you're going through your very own journey to par, is best laid plans don't always come together. I had, up until I had done that full sim, my training had been going perfectly. The programming that ICT, my coach, had me on was, working as well as I could have ever asked for. And I was absolutely ready to go and hit Hyrox London, break my 130 goal, and then move on to the next event. But that wasn't meant to be. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't hard. Like I said, I've mentioned already, I had a full-on breakdown for a couple of minutes in the middle of a packed arena. But it took me probably 2 days, and I think one of the things that came out of it for me is that Hyrox was a step in this year's journey, and all the hard work that I've been putting in was not just about that. It was about being the best version of myself by the end of this year, and I think for all intents and purposes I've done that. So that's the first thing I want to call out is the best laid plans aren't always going to work out. Don't let that defeat you in fulfilling your journey. The second big realization that came from this is I have put my body through a lot this year. I have worked it, almost daily with a few recovery days in between, and I have been asking a lot of it. And I think the thing that's come out of this more than anything is how important recovery and making sure that you're looking after your body as much as it's looking after you're doing. So what that's led me to do is to start a much more rigid mobility and recovery program. So like I mentioned, prior to Hyrox, I was working with Hardier at Mehab specifically to help my knee and my legs be ready for Hyrox, but now we're working and focusing on a more holistic approach to looking after and maintaining my body. And I think I can't understate how important it is, I think, for everyone out there. It's very easy to just go to the gym and start lifting weights and running and cycling and things, but so few of us actually know what's going on with our bodies that when you do those things, you don't know whether you're actually doing yourself some harm as well as good. And so that's what I did with Hardier. We had a full strength and function assessment on my body, so working out where my imbalances are, if there are things that need to be improved. We also did a full body gait analysis, which blew my mind. I'd never been through anything like that, so I was quite literally topless in the middle of the gym on a treadmill with these little dots all over my back, my sides, my hips, my legs, my feet, to give us a true representation of when I'm running, what my body does, how my body moves. And it was through that process that we actually identified what was potentially causing the trouble to my knee, which is that when I run, I have been toe striking so hard that impact on my toes is just shaking straight up into my knee, and causing a lot of tension in the IT band, which we're going to work on. So Hardy and I are going to work on my running technique. I am banned from running at the moment just to give my knee some full time to recover, but we're going to work on my running technique to make sure that this doesn't become a recurring theme for me. So yeah, looping back around, lesson number 2 is in 2024, as we're going into the new year, think about how you're going to incorporate mobility and recovery properly into your programming, not just throwing the weights around and not just doing the cardio, making sure that you're giving your body as much as it's giving you every time you step into that gym. So I think that wraps up this video. It was a hard one to make for obvious reasons. Like I said, it's been a tough 6 weeks. Not having things go to plan is never a particularly fun one, but we're back. I'm so ready to make more content for myself and for you all, and to hit 2024 like an absolute truck. I have some really big goals. We'll talk about that in another video. I have some more goals. This journey's only just getting started. But yeah, thank you if you've got this far in the video. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and I'll try and release content more and more regularly. We'll try and get back to that at least 1 or 2 videos a week that we got into to begin with, and then it's tapered off a little bit, so I'll try and get back to that. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it would mean the world to me. And like I always say, this is about making a community. So hit down into those comments, leave a comment. If you've got any questions, shoot them over. I want this to be a conversation, not just with me, but with everyone that's part of the For The Par community. With that said, I've been Alex. This has been For The Par Mind, Body, Golf. I'll see you in the next video.